So, members of the press, I thank you for availing me audience at such a very, very short notice. I'm issuing this press statement in response, and not in reaction, but in response to the naming of the cabinet, of the other members of the cabinet, and the mini reshuffle that the President of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto, has issued this afternoon. I'm really saddened by what has happened, especially the inclusion of members of parliament from the opposition parties and the leaders of an opposition party in that cabinet list. That for me states that the president has decided that he will govern this country without the constitution, that he swore to uphold and defend and promote when he was sworn into office, and which has an obligation as a citizen of this country, even without that oath of office, to uphold and defend and promote pursuant to Article 3 Clause 1 of the Constitution. And I would like to refer the country to Article 129 of the Constitution, which states categorically, 129 Clause 1 and 2, state categorically that the executive authority derives from the people of Kenya and shall be exercised in accordance with this Constitution. Number 2, in Clause 2, it says executive authority shall be exercised in a manner compatible with the principle of service to the people of Kenya and for their well-being and benefit. So I'm saddened that the last move of the president to include members of parliament from the opposition party ODM in his cabinet is totally insensitive to the economic times that we are living in, because it automatically occasions by-elections in those two constituencies, which was totally unnecessary, and that doesn't amount to a prudent use of public resources. Number 2, Article 4, Clause 1, defines Kenya as a multi-party democracy. A multi-party democracy which, under the Elections Act, allows for formation of coalitions which act as a political party and must function as a political party. And when people go to elections, they elect candidates and parties, especially a party running on a candidate running on a party or a party fielding candidates is bound by that requirement that Kenya is a multi-party democracy. There have to be procedures to be followed before elections and after elections that underpin that multi-party democracy character of the Republic of Kenya. And we saw when President Ruto first came into office, he began by buying off political party members to entice them across the divide, irrespective of the treaties that were in place or the agreements, and irrespective of the fact that the people of Kenya, when voting, expressed themselves categorically that they were electing these people to be on the side of those parties based on the manifestos those parties had sold to them. So under that principle of multi-party, Kenya being a multi-party democracy, it's not possible for an individual MP or a political party to just cross the floor after an election. That particular provision also does not give the president the power to set up what is calling a broad-based government. To set up a broad-based government is to violate Article 3, Clause 2, which says that any government set up or established contrary to the Constitution is null and void. And so the president, by deciding to establish a government, contrary to the principle, which is a founding principle, because the Article 4 defines the character of the Kenyan state. And by the president choosing not to honor that character, he has totally declared to us that he's going to govern this country without following the Constitution. It's clear that the president does not consider himself as bound by the Constitution, and he can do whatever serves his political interests. And I think the time has come for Kenyans not to sit on the fence anymore, but to rise up and demand that the Constitution must be respected and honored. So, my statement is that the government the president has proposed to establish, the cabinet, is totally unconstitutional. Some of the considerations of giving people jobs because they are his former girlfriends, like he said about the Tuya. One place he said she was his former girlfriend, and therefore, how is that a qualification for a cabinet position? That's a total insult to the people of Kenya and the Republic of Kenya, and we cannot accept those kind of considerations to pollute the public space. We want people to be elected on the basis of competence, not past romantic relationships. So I am today calling on the people of Kenya, and I'm stating that my position is that that government the president is trying to establish and force down our throats is unconstitutional, even in terms of merit. If you go to Article 75, public authority, authority vested in a state officer should be exercised in a manner that brings honor to an office. When you give a job to somebody on the basis of having been your former girlfriend and it's a public office, what honor are you bringing to that office? So I personally do not agree with that cabinet. And I think going forward, there are going to be consequential measures that will be taken. We hope that the National Assembly will reject the entire list and demand that the president sticks to his coalition side and nominates members from his coalition who are acceptable to the people of Kenya. He does not nominate, he should not nominate people from other parties without enabling legal framework. That's an attempt to set up a government contrary to the Constitution, and which act is invalid, null and void. And the people of Kenya, just like the Gen Z have been doing, should arise and invoke their power under Article 1 of the Constitution as a sovereign people and see how we can govern this country directly without you going through representative institutions which have basically failed us and continue to fail us, and are even mocking us. Because if you look at one of the complaints about that the Gen Z had was against Murkomen. Now Murkomen is put in charge of the Gen Z. Honestly, what is going on in this country? Why should he insult us and then rub in the salt in our raw wounds? So I plead with my plea would be to the National Assembly to reject these people and to avoid taking this country in the direction the president wants to take it, where the Constitution does not matter, where lawlessness is the order of the day, and even the failure in Parliament, the incapacity of Parliament to deliver under a presidential system, the incapacity of Parliament to deliver has just been, should also be traced to that lack of respect for the Constitution, whereby MPs crossed the line and gave President Ruto a false majority in both houses. And that false majority is what he's trying to consolidate with the help of equally unprincipled political actors who are in politics purely for purposes of making money and not to serve the republic.